Wolfpack, welcome to this episode of the Outdoor Gear Review, where today we are taking a look at the Maxoak Bluetti EB240. This is a massive power station, 2,400 watt hours. This thing is a monster. I've been using this product over the course of the summer in multiple capacities. I've taken it cross country, I've used it here at Lone Wolf Mountain, I've even used this product during emergency situations where the power's gone out at the house. Through all of my experiences with this product, I know the good, the bad, and I'm going to share with you all the pros and the cons, and a lot of information concerning this product. This is an agenda-free review. I don't care if you purchase this product or not. I'm here to share my thoughts, and that's it. And with that being said, let's go ahead and start the review by going over features and stats first. As I mentioned before, when it comes to capacity, this offers you 2,400 watt hours. This is a lithium polymer battery, and it's composed of automotive cells. Out of the 2,400 watt hours, 87% is available for use. When it comes to the dimensions, you're looking at roughly 19.5 inches long, 14.5 inches tall, and it has a width of roughly 6.5 inches. Weight-wise, 48 pounds. Oh yes, this is extremely heavy, and you need to consider that before purchasing a product like this. How are you going to use it? Do you plan to move it? Is it going to be stationary? Because as I mentioned, 48 pounds. If you happen to purchase this device, this is what you get. You get the power station, you get the box, a small instruction manual, certification papers, you get the power brick, and you get this right here. This is the MC4 Solar connector cable, which you will need to connect to solar panels. Now everyone, let's take a look at the power station itself, and let's go over the features and the ports that it offers. Here on the left side at the top, you have 3 buttons. This is your power button. Click it and hold it to turn it on. You have your battery level indicator, and you have your input and outputs. You have your DC on, and you have your AC on. And again, push and hold to activate. Push and hold to turn off. Down below you have your USB ports, and you have 4 of these. These are USB 5 volt, 3 amps max. Down below you have your power delivery port, which tops out at 45 watts. That's max. Moving over, you have your DC 12 volt 9 amp port. I refer to this as a cigarette lighter port, but I'm not sure who uses them for that purpose any longer. And then up here you have your input that you can use with your AC charger and also solar power. Up here you have the exhaust fan, which I will talk about here in just a minute. Down below you have the 2 AC ports, 110 volts each. So these max out at 1,000 watts, 500 watts each. And they do feature a 1,200 watt peak. Now everyone, when it comes to my experiences with this power station, I'd like to share with you all what they have been before I jump to the review portion, pros and cons. I've been using this for most of the year here, and I've used this while driving across the country with my overland trips. I've used it for shorter trips here in the mountains of North Carolina and Virginia and Tennessee and so on. And I've used this as an accessory to assist me with filming and also working here at Lone Wolf Mountain. Just in case you do not know, I do not live here. It's roughly 50 miles away from where I live. Anyways, this is a product that has assisted us throughout the course of the year to accomplish many different things. For charging devices, powering different tools and whatnot. We've used this at the house when the power's gone out, throughout the summer during storms and whatnot. And with all of our use, I can tell you that I've had no issues with this. There's been no errors, there's been no glitches. In fact, it has worked extremely well. And with sharing with you how I've used this product, let's go ahead and move over to the pros, to the review. The first thing that we have to talk about is the per watt hour and the value that you get with this power station. The retail price of this is $1,900, and yes, that is a lot of money, but per watt, this is in fact a great deal. At full retail price, per watt is around 70 cents. And if you compare that to other power stations, such as Jackery, they often charge 80 cents or more. The fit and the finish is very good. The looks of the device is okay. I'm not gonna say it's a con, the blue isn't bad. I would like to see a black on this, or even other colored versions to, suit people's taste or whatnot. Black would be sweet, the blue is not bad. The grab handle here is substantial, and it has to be, to be able to pick this thing up. 50 pounds. With all of the ports, you do have good connectivity options. I would say good. not great, and I will come back to that in just a moment. The capacity is impressive, and there's no doubt about that. You have the 2 sine wave AC ports. You have a 1000 watt draw inverter, 500 watts per AC port. You have a regulated DC port. As I mentioned before, the baseline wattage is 1000, but you do have that 1200 peak. So you can run that 200 watts over the 1000 for 2 minutes before you have any sort of issues, before it shuts off. The device does feature pass-through charging, so you can charge the device while using it. As far as built-in protections go, this features just about everything that you can imagine, such as overload protection, overcurrent protection, overheating protection, low voltage, over voltage, short circuit, and so on. I do like the fact that the MC4 Solar cable is included. That's not bad. The display screen does show input and output, and this device does feature fast charging via AC and solar. Speaking of which, solar is faster than AC if you can harness the 500 watt max capability that this is able to handle. I personally do not have 500 watt capability, but I do have 300, and I could charge this device in roughly 8.5 hours. With 500 watt capability, you could charge this in roughly 5 hours. AC takes roughly 12 hours to fully charge. Another huge pro for this device is that with the USB ports, they will run on a very low draw and never shut off. They will run indefinitely. This is a nice feature because with some power stations, they will shut off with very low draw devices. Not this one. With all of the pros that I've gone over, let's switch over to the cons here. And the first one is the inverter. This has 1000 watts, but for a power station of this size, that's a little bit low. I would like to see at least 1500 watts with this power station. That would make a little bit more sense, considering the size of this unit. Going hand in hand with the converter con, we have to talk about the peak wattage. It's only 1200. So you have a 1000 continuous, 1200 peak. That means if you surge above the 1200, it will shut off. For a battery station of this size, 1200 is a little bit low, and I would like to see higher. The next point that I will talk about, you have to be warned. This thing is big, this thing is heavy, and it can be hard to move around. With my overlanding, it's one of those things where it is a bit of a struggle to get this into the back of the truck. And in the back of the truck is where I usually keep this. I will talk more about this at the summary point of my review, but getting this in the back of the truck, it takes some muscle. It's one of those things, once you get it in the place that you need it, then it can stay there. It's not that big of a deal. Ultimately, how big of a struggle that you will have with this device will depend on what you're going to do with it, where you're going to put it, and so on. Again, it's just a point to keep in mind. Next, we have to talk about the power level indicator. It uses the bar system. Each bar translates to roughly 20%. This is a very poor system to implement for any power station. That means that you will never know exactly how much power is left. I'd much rather see percentage points than that bar system. This device only features 2 AC ports, and for a power station of this size, that's a little bit low. I would expect to see 3, if not 4. The next con that I have for this device is a biggie. You can only charge this in one of 2 ways, AC or solar. That's it. You cannot charge this via DC. So for overland purposes, you can't drive down the road with this plugged into your DC port and charge the device. It's either AC or it's solar, and that's it. And for overlanding, that will limit the use of this product for many. The good side is that it's a very large capacity. So depending on how you are using this, you can go for a very long time without having to recharge it. I will talk about this point and others in the summary after we get done with the cons. Next up, another pretty big con. This is one loud device. When you're charging this device, the sound coming out of the power station and also the power brick, both are exceptionally loud. I mean, it's louder than an air conditioner or even a hair dryer, right? It's exceptionally loud. It puts out a ton of noise. I mean, if you can put this in a separate room and shut the door, fine. But, I mean, if it's in your living room and you're in your bedroom and they're close together, you will hear it. For light sleepers, you would have a hard time sleeping with this device charging in the same room as you. So if you were maybe going across the country, you have a hotel room, this is in the room with you, some people may not be able to sleep while this is charging. It's that loud. The next con that I have for this device is in regards to solar charging and the fact that there's no Anderson power port nor converter cables included, which is a shame. When it comes to the USB ports, you have the 4 ports plus the PD port. For a power station of this size, I personally would like to see more ports. The last con that I have for this device is in regards to the AC output display here on the screen. Once you go below 30 watts, it does not register on the screen itself. And folks, those are the pros and cons that I have for this power station. So let's summarize everything for you all and summarize my experiences and how I would recommend using this. As I mentioned before, over the course of the year, I've been using this in many different capacities, many different ways, and it has served well for just about everything, even overlanding. Susan and I took this across the country. We went to Colorado, and this stayed in the back of the truck, and this powered our lights, fans. It charged our phones, Susie's Apple Watch. She ran a hair dryer on it. We had the electric blanket going and so on. And while we were gone for an entire week, we did not have to recharge this device even one time. This offers so much power. It's incredible. You can take this across the country, and of course it will depend on what you're doing with it, what you're running on it. But, I mean, you could charge your phone so many times. So many times. You can run all sorts of devices, lights, fans. You know, talking about our trip out to Colorado, I mean, every single evening we had 2 lights running. For most of the nights in the warmer areas, we had 2 fans going. There was one night in Colorado where it was cold. We had an electric blanket. That was super nice. And, of course, I charged my phone, her phone, over and over and over, the smartwatch, and so on. For emergency use, when the power goes out, this has worked well. For using it out here at Lone Wolf Mountain with different tools and devices, it's worked well. As long as you can stay below the 1200 peak, you're good. Again, folks, I would like to see this device with a higher peak, considering the size and the power of this device. It does need a bigger inverter, and I would like to see that being added in future versions of this, or maybe a different model. For long-term off-grid use, I think this is an excellent solution. And unless I'm mistaken, this is one of the very few large capacity power banks out on the market. I believe Goal Zero has something very similar, and I believe that Goal Zero is quite a bit more expensive than this one here. Without a doubt, this device has proven to be reliable. The quality's excellent. It's worked very well. Again, we've had no issues. It is heavy. It's big. Also, I guess one more con for this is the form factor. It stands up and it can be knocked over somewhat easily inside of your vehicle. So for myself, I always have to lay this down on its side. The bang for the buck per watt is excellent, and buying a power station or building your own that is comparable for the same amount of money would be difficult. There's not much out there. Building your own system would be more expensive. And everyone, that wraps up my review. That's it. That is the Maxoak 2400 watt hours. It has served Susie and I very well over the course of the year, and we will continue to use this for a long period of time. Now everyone, I'd like to hear from you all because I'm interested to hear your thoughts. What do you all think about Maxoak? What do you all think about this power station? Do you think there's a comparable product out on the market? If so, make sure to comment down below. If you have any experiences with Maxoak, make sure to share those with the community, because that's what we are. We are a community here to help each other, so make sure to share your feedback. I cannot wait to read all the comments, and for now, I will say goodbye. Everyone, take care, strength and honor, have a good one.